Right. So when it comes to the colors, there are 16 million recognizable colors in the visible range of our naked eye. And when it comes to the graphics, we basically talk about two color mods or two color models. Right. One is called the RGB model. The other one is called the CMYK model. So RGB, it stands for red, green, and blue. CMYK, it stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Right? K is indicating black. These descriptions are here, right? So when it comes to the RGB model, as the explanation says, it is used to create the images on the television screen or any computer screen. So that means the one that you are seeing here and one that you can see through any particular screen, it's the RGB colors that they are providing. And when it comes to the CMYK models, it is there for the printing purposes, right? So if your graphic editing software support to the CMYK model, whatever the color that you are seeing on the screen can be seen on the printed paper as well, right? But when you are preparing things from RGB and when you are printing with CMYK, there will be a slight difference of the colors, right? Like if you think about a particular variation of blue, once it is been printed, it won't be the blue color that you have seen on the screen, slightly different, right? But it is recognizable, right? So that is how these color ranges or like color models are there. And here they are giving you the idea about the RGB colors and the CMYK colors, how the colors are being made. And you can see in this picture, in these two pictures, there are places which contains just one color, right? So those are called primary colors. When two primary colors are being gathered, you can find a secondary color, like red and blue together will produce the purple. So purple is kind of a secondary color. And all three colors, when all three colors are combined together, we call it a tertiary color or a ternary color, right? So here they are given you some particular example for the tertiary colors, right? And when it comes to the graphic editing software, we always see things like this as tertiary colors, right? Yes, Udamya, yes. When you touch in or when you're tightening the LCD screen, yeah, it's kind of it's the liquid crystal that is giving you those colors. It's the RGB. Yes, it is in kind of RGB, right? And when it comes to the graphic editing software, even like when it comes to the GIMP specifically, the one we are learning, you will be given this kind of a color combination window. And there you can find RGB colors like this. So it shows how many of red has been used, how many of green has been used, how many of blue has been used, right? According to that, a particular color, this particular color is being produced, right? So RGB color represents in this format. So these numbers can vary from 0 to 255, or else this decimal value is represented as a hexadecimal one, right? It is also there in some particular graphic editing software. So either you can see the numbers from 0 to 255, which are decimal values, or else you will be able to see the numbers which are hexadecimal value. That means from 00 to FF regarding one particular value, right? So we will be experiencing this when we are doing the practical. So you will get a better idea when we are doing the practicals, right? I'll show you the things today. So let's first write about this, right? Then we'll come to the graphic size and compression, right? Okay, so regarding the colors, you may have the heading. and have this line into your book. And later we will copy the latter part, right? So quickly copy this down. Yes, are we done, everyone? ඔයා ඉඳගෙන බලන්න. People, anyone who is still writing? Okay, moving forward. Yeah, copy down this. And then you may write about the RGB model. You don't need to draw the diagram, right? So just go through the RGB model, right? Let me know when you are done. Yes, people, are we done? Anyone who is still writing? Yes, people, can you hear me clearly? Right. Okay. Anyone who is still writing? All right. Moving forward. So you go with the CMYK model as well. Okay, are we done? Anyone who is still writing? Okay, moving forward. Yeah, let's write about this as well, the color combination. This particular thing. Okay, after this, it's better you note down about the RGB triplet. People, let me know when you are done over here. Then I have to read a sentence. So you can go with the RGB triplet. Okay, can we move forward? Are we done here? Okay, moving forward. So you may write it like this. After this 2 points, you'll write this thing. So let's say it like this. To make a tertiary color, To make a tertiary color, red, green, blue, values to make a tertiary color. Red, green, blue values I'm typing it so it will be easier for you to have it. Values will be mixed in the range of 0 to 255 in decimal. Or these values can be represented in hexadecimal. So this is going to be next line, right? And in your book, they have said something like octal. It is, I think it is a printing mistake. Generally, it is indicated as a decimal and a hexadecimal. Right, once you are done with this, you can have these two values as examples. Right, you may write this as the example. All right. Are we done, people? Anyone who is still writing? All right, moving forward, let me clear the annotations. Right, so here we are going to talk about the graphic size and the compressions. Right, so when it comes to the graphic size and the compression, so when your graphic size, like we already know, size of a graphic is depends on the pixels and the number of pixels that is being used. That means the resolution, right? So because pixel, it use some amount of bits to represent many different colors. So one particular pixel, if we take this as a one particular pixel and this as another particular pixel, if this can show you two colors, so it has the capacity of 1 bit. And when this pixel can represent 4 colors, it is a 2-bit in capacity, right? That means if a picture needs 2 bits of this, which can show 2 colors only, so this picture is going to be a 2-bit in capacity. But these, if it use these 2 bits from this kind, it's going to be 4 bits for the same picture. So that means when the colors are, the number of colors are being grown in number, which need to be represented, that means the size of the graphic is going to increase, right? So first factor is the pixel, right? The capacity of the pixel or the depth of the pixel will determine how big your graphic is. And the other factor, let's say we have a 1 inch size of picture. So this is the just 1 inch width and 1 inch of height, right? So 1 inch height and 1 inch width. So if I fill this picture with a 4x4 array or a matrix, so that means this picture needs 16 pixels to fill up, right? So that means, let's assume I'm using this kind of pixels to create this picture. That means the capacity of my picture is going to be 16-bit because my 1 pixel has a capacity of 1 bit. So 16, if the 16 bits are being consumed, that means this graphic size is 16-bit. The same graphic can be can increase its quality when you use different amount of bits. So if I use 10 bits, from the same pixel, so it's going to give you 100 number of pixels for the entire picture, 10 by 10. So 10 pixels per this side and 10 pixels as the width. So the same size, right? Actually, we can't say same size, the number of pixels that we are going to use, right? So when the pixels are high in number, that means again, it's going to be a fact to be the graphic is found in higher capacity. People, is that clear? So number of pixels will goes with the capacity as well as number of bits that you are used for a pixel will determine the capacity of a graphic. Is that clear? Right. So when our graphics are very big in size, sometimes we will find some difficulties for them to communicate. In case if you want to put number of pictures into a particular storage device, or like if you want to send some picture over an email, we will be facing some difficulties due to the capacity issues. Now, if you think about a DSLR camera, right, which is a professional camera where these all photographers and everyone, professional photographers are using. So inside the DSLR camera, you have a memory chip which stores the photos that is taken by the camera. So DSLR camera has the capability of having a high resolution picture, right? Because those are eventually used for many different kinds of albums, right? So when the camera captures a high definition or like the high resolution picture, if it is going to be stored inside the chip with the original pixel rate or like with the original number of pixels, the chip won't be able to hold lots of pictures. It will hold few number of pictures, which means photographer need to have lots of memory chips with him for him to do a lot of photographs, which is going to be impractical at some certain point, right? So to have a relief from this situation, there are a method called compression, which will compress the picture so it will take less capacity from it inside a storage. But according to the compression mode that we are using, it is due to lose the quality of the picture, or maybe it can be preserved with its original quality, right? So that is why we are introduced with two different compression modes, which is called the lossy compression and the lossless compression. Lossy compression, it will help you to compress your picture into a greater, like not the greater, into a very smaller size. But when you do a lossy compression, you will lose the quality of the picture. Some of the pixels will be destroyed, right? So then after, when you extract the picture, you will see some quality drop when that picture is being used again. But there is something called lossless compression. It will not compress your picture as much as the lossy compression does, but for a significant amount, still it does, right? It will not lose any pixel, or it will not lose the original quality when you use the lossless compression. But the difference is, if you think about a picture, let's say it has 10 MB of size, 10 MB, 10 megabytes. If the picture is big as 10 MB, with the lossy compression, it may reduce to 1 MB. With the lossless compression, it may reduce to 5 MB. Right? So comparatively, more shrinking of the size, so like more compression is produced by the lossy compression. But at the same time, it's going to lose or it's going to reduce the quality of the picture. When it comes to the lossless, it does not do any harm to the picture quality, but still it is being reduced up to a certain point. People, is that clear? Yes, everyone? Is that clear? People, are you guys with me? Or are you doing something else? All right, okay. All right. Then I'm taking your concentration to the graphic types. Right? So in graphic types, there are two major types that you can find: raster graphics and vector graphics. This is directly connected to the software that you are using, right? Udamya, yes, I'll come to that point, Udamya, right? Hold on. Udamya, it's like this. Think about that you are having a picture which has a capacity of 10 MB, 10 megabytes. So compression means we are trying to reduce the capacity of the picture or of any particular file that we have. So lossy compression will help you to make this 10 MB compress into 1 MB. Right? That means 10 MB file. Now the capacity is 1 MB since it is being compressed. Right? And the disadvantage of this is when you are reducing the size, like when you are compressing, the quality of the original picture will be reduced, right? Because once you have compressed, you have to extract it again. Once it is extracted, the previous quality, the original quality will not prevail, right? It will be reduced. But if you use a lossless compression, this same 10 MB file will be reduced up to something like 5 MB. It is also some sort of reduction of the size once it is compressed. And when you extract it, it will not do any harm to the quality of the picture. That means the same quality can be used. Udamya, is that clear? Right. And when it comes to the and when it comes to the graphic types, there are two types. One is raster graphic, other one is the vector graphic. Now, raster graphic is a graphic which depends on the software that you are creating, as well as it consists, or it takes a very small space in your computer to get stored, right? And it is made out of array of pixels. That means the general graphics that we were talking about. And when it comes to the vector graphics, it is not a collection of pixels. It is a collection of straight or curved lines. They use a different approach, different kind of way to create the graphic. Right? So, as well as raster graphic does not contain any records regarding how this picture has been made. Right? It's just a collection of pixels. But when it comes to the vector graphic, it maintains the records. Why it needs to be maintained the records? Because this is using straight line and curves. It needs to know from which point that this curve or a straight line is starting and from where it is ending. And the important part is the quality will get changed when you change the original size of the picture, right? So that means if you think about a small picture, right, of which is done as a raster graphic, when you change the size of that picture, the quality will drop. It is because pixels are being stretched, right? You have a very nice example over here. So this small star, when it is done by the raster graphic as a raster graphic, this is what is happening when it is being enlarged. Pixels can be seen clearly. This is how it responds when it is made out of vector graphics. So vector graphic does not reduce the size, or does not reduce the quality of the picture. Instead of that, they readjust their starting and ending point of the straight line or the curve. And because of that, raster graphics are not suitable to do high quality creations. It's only the vector graphics are there, right? So when you are done a particular high quality or like high resolution image with vector graphics, you can enlarge, you can like reduce the size or the dimension of the picture without losing any particular quality. So since the raster graphic does not keep in any records, it uses a very less memory space. It needs the space to only maintain the pixels. But here, they need more space. They need to have the details regarding from where the this particular thing is on, from where it is being, it's going to go as an end. So how it's going to stretch, whether it is going to enlarge or like whether it's going to shrink. So likewise, those details will be needed by the raster graphic to, to the vector graphic to maintain its quality. Right, and because the vector graphics are processing the picture a lot, it will reduce the speed of the computer, where the raster graphic does not. Does not means it doesn't mean that it never reduced the performance of the CPU. Comparatively, when you are dealing with a vector graphic, it's a hard time to CPU. When you are dealing with the raster graphic, it's an easy time for CPU. Right, here it is given some examples, right, and for the vector and the raster. Thank you. So, right, so the one that we are going to practice, which is GIMP, is in the raster graphic category, right? And one of the famous one which is Adobe Photoshop, is in the raster graphic category. And Adobe Illustrator, and I think you have heard about CorelDRAW, right? Those kind of things, softwares, they produce the vector graphics. So that is why if you are going to use any one of these softwares, your performance in the computer should be very high, right? Otherwise, computer will shut down, or sometimes it get a memory dump. Sometimes you will get a blue screen kind of thing, right? It is because of the hardware unmatching situation, or like hardware problems. Okay, are we clear about this, people? Yeah, Sasrika, it is taken the point. It doesn't, Sasrika, it doesn't mean that since your picture is what we call a raster, it need to be used only by the general CPU. GPU can access it. GPU can support it, right? But this means when you are dealing with the vector, GPU works more, right? There are very big tasks, very big processors for the GPU, as well as for the memory, as well as for the CPU, right? When it comes to the raster, it may use the GPU accordingly, right? Sometimes it only, for a very small picture, it may have the support from only from CPU, and it will use less amount of resources. A small portion from the memory, small portion from the GPU, small portion from the CPU. So it will not affect on the speed of a picture. Did you got the point? Okay. Right. So let's quickly write down this, and the table regarding the vector and the raster, I'm giving that as a homework, right? But we have to write about this compression ones, right? So size and compression, hold on. Yeah, much better. Go with the heading graphic size and compression. Yeah, this need to be written. Okay, write these things down, then let me know, right? People, are we done? Anyone who is still writing? All right, moving forward. Without drawing this, can we write about it? Hold on. Yeah, let's write this point. And this as the example formats. Yeah, people, when you are writing this blue color highlighted part, write it together. And the first word, it should be compressing, not compress. Compressing a graphic, preserving its original quality, is identified as lossless format. So in blue color part, start with the word compressing, not compress. You should have ing at the end. All right, people, are we done? Anyone who is still writing? Okay, moving forward. So regarding graphic types, you have to copy this entire table to your book at home. Please note down this entire table, right? So that will be your homework. So please copy that down. It's in page number 88. So have the heading, graphic types, then you copy things down. All right. Now we are moving to the graphic designing, right? So due to graphic designing, we use a software called GIMP, right? So GIMP, it's a software which is created based on the Unix operating system, right? And it's a free and open source software, right? Anyone can download it and you can do many different things, many fascinating things using the GIMP. So in your textbook, they have given you the version of GIMP 2.8, which is a very old version, right? So today, I'm going to show you the GIMP 2.10, which is the newer version of the GIMP, right? So the interface that it shows on your textbook is not with the software now, right? It's different. There are major differences. All the tools and all these things are being changed into the black and white. Actually, the like gray and less gray. Right, and it has given some advanced options when you are there to create things. Yeah. So I introduce the things from here, right? Just an introduction, right? So I'll use my magnifier since it is a little bit smaller. Right here at the top, you have the menu, which gives us many submenus as a normal software. And this is the important part, where you can find a lot of tools inside it, where we are going to use in editing the photos, right? And when you select one particular tool, the properties regarding that tool is listed below it, right? Right over here. So according to each and every tool, properties will be listed. As well as you can see a small arrowhead in most of the tools, right over here, right? So that means it contains more than one tool inside that button, right? So you right click on it, then it will show what are the other tools that is listed under that particular tool, right? So likewise, you can see the other tools which is listed under one particular tool, right? So on the right hand side, it shows us some filters, especially when it comes to the gradient type of filters. It is given over here. And below that, this is called the layer palette. Now, this is a very important window that you are finding in GIMP, because in any particular graphic editing software, when you are creating the graphics, it happens frame by frame, or like layer by layer. So in one layer, you can add one particular component, right? It's like not that we can't add everything on a one layer, but the graphic editors use this thing, and using another layer, they add the other objects, right? And using some another layer, they use the other objects, right? So the easiness is, if you want to handle these objects individually, since you have created this with layers, so the green color part can be handled with the front layer. එතකොට එයා විතරයි අපිට handle කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. No changes to the red or pink color layers. So those layers will be listed over here when you are creating layers on the project that you are working. Are we clear about this, people? Right, so this is the area. The big gray area is the area which help you to do the photo editing. So to do a photo edit, either you should create a new file by using a predefined format. You have some paper formats over here, paper sizes, or else you can create your own size. Now here the measurement is given in pixel. You can change it into inches, millimeters, points. There are some other things which we are not very much familiar with, right? So you can change the measurement into any unit you want. So you can give the details. So it will create the working area for you according to the dimension that is given here. As well as you can see two small buttons over here, which shows the portrait orientation as well as the landscape orientation. So here it is by default, the landscape orientation is chosen. If you want to make it as a portrait, you can choose the portrait. And according to the advanced option, so before I go to the advanced option, look over here. Look at the details. It shows what's the resolution of your picture, 1080 by 1920. That means 1080 pixel as the width, 1920 as its height. Or else it is given the resolution in pixels per inch, the unit PPI. You are familiar with this, right? So we discussed that there are two units that we can use to do the resolution, like the PPI and the DPI. So here they are introducing things with PPI, pixels per inch. And again, the color mode, as you can see, it's the RGB color. And if you want to change any particular things regarding this working area, you can choose the advanced color, advanced options actually. And it helps you to change the resolution. And we know once the resolution is changed, the capacity of the picture is going to be increased, as well as the quality. And the color spaces, they have RGB and grayscale. They don't have anything called CMYK, but some of the editors, some other softwares, they have the CMYK mode as well. And some other advanced settings, which I'm not very much familiar with, and I'm not going to discuss those things because it's not in your syllabus to be discussed, right? So there are, and you can learn about this from, there are many different YouTube videos regarding the GIMP editing, right? So just go through, right? So once you have said those things and press OK, it will give you a working area for you to be work, right? So usually this particular ruler is made out of the pixels, right? From here I can change it to inches if I want, to millimeters if I want. So I can have the idea for centimeters, right? So this is long as 9 centimeters, right? So I can zoom it in. So still, this is not the real size of a centimeter since it is being zoomed, right? You can see it is being zoomed to 150%. If I zoom into the 100%, right? It's again, it's not that original, right? So like, 1 centimeter physically is going to give you like something like this, right? So it depends, but we can read how big it is. So it is always 9 centimeter. It doesn't matter how much that you have zoomed this thing. So it's 9 always. Same dimension, the same size is being maintained. Right, so by next week, I'm going to show you how to use these tools, which will describe the things that is described over here. Right, so then after, the other tools as well, the animation tools, the audio editing tools, and video editing tools. Right. Okay, people. So I'm going to end the session from here just for today. So by next week, it's purely practical that we are going to go. We may run for 2 weeks since we have 4 softwares to be discussed. Right. So majorly, it's on the graphic editing, and there are few to learn from the video editing, audio editing, as well as the animations. All right, so I'm going to end the session from here for today. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll see you on next week to do the graphic editing practicals, right? So until that, have a very nice weekend, people. Thank you very much and have a nice day.